Good afternoon, everyone. Um, Thank you so much for joining us today. Today we will be talking to Edmund. Let me get the surname correct. Edmund Rotimi. Mr. Edmund Rotimi is going to take us through a conversation around demystifying blockchain because as we were preparing for this webinar, we found that a lot of our social sciences community could not place themselves within the blockchain innovation, and they quite would like to know what is the blockchain, how can we use it in social sciences, and how best can we position it within our field. So a bit about Edmund. He has spent at least 7 years in the experiences of building innovative solutions. He has led a multiple real-world user cases across artificial intelligence, blockchain, drones, robotics, and cybersecurity. He is currently the lead developer for the UJ blockchain, and the Center for Cyber Physical, Food, Energy, and Water Systems. This is where he designs and delivers cutting-edge solutions in AI, blockchain, drone design, and programming, as well as cybersecurity, and lastly, robotics. He is largely just involved in cutting-edge information, innovation, and solutions. And we're going to hear more from Edmund about his work. Over to you, Edmund.
A pleasant day, everybody. Can everyone hear me? Sorry,
Yes.
currently I can't share my camera because I'm currently connected. It's connected to the AI. So when I do share my screen, you'll be able to see my face. So for the time being, I would just introduce myself. Then when I share my face, the AI will take over the webcam. Hope that is fine by everyone. I see thumbs up and great. So my name is Edmund. Basically, I am a developer at UJ Blockchain. We are South African Switzerland bilateral research chair. We are a chair currently in UJ. We have our office in APK campus. Basically, what we build is we try to spread the gospel of blockchain, train people on how to use blockchain, and we also extend our tentacles to build real-world solutions like the ones you will see in this presentation. I don't think I need to reintroduce myself. I think the presenter has done it all. I would break this presentation into 4 chunks. The very first chunk I would use to explain the system itself, which I'll be demoing. The second chunk, I will talk about some of the amazing stuff we do at the center. The third chunk, I will just give a brief about blockchain. And the last chunk will just be me rounding up. All of this chunk will be all within 45 minutes, and this will give 15 minutes for everybody to ask as many questions as possible. Are there any questions before I start? I will just go ahead and share my screen.
Go ahead.
So I will try to share the entirety of my screen. I think it gives the full idea of what the solution is. Okay, before I started, I did mention that something was actually using my webcam. What was using my webcam is actually this AI system. I'll give you a brief of what the system is and what it currently is in terms of the concept version and where we are going towards. We started training students since 2023. And each time we get to train students, we basically see two streams of students. We see students who are highly skilled. By skill set, I mean they have the knowledge of blockchain. They are either programming in one language or they are programming in two languages. Then we see another set of students that they are not really programmers, but they still want to learn blockchain. They still want to know how to use the technology. And this was what necessitated the entire idea of how can we incorporate people who necessarily don't have the skill sets to actually program, but we still want to teach them to be able to create solutions. So we started in 2023 by always having two streams. So we have two streams in every of our programs. We have the coding section and the non-coding section. But interestingly, over the course of 2 years, we saw an interesting pattern. We saw that those who actually could not code was like 3 times in terms of population for each of our boot camps and masterclass to those who could actually code. So we started this whole concept of the Blockchain Edu Quiz. So what is the Blockchain Edu Quiz? And what has been the success story so far? We started 2 pilot programs for the drag and drop connected with an AI system, which runs on Tato, which we built at the center. And the second pilot test was the Blockchain Edu Quiz. For us at the center, we wanted to know if students will like this idea and if it was something worth pursuing in terms of making it bigger. So the Blockchain Edu Quiz connects to the Ethereum blockchain. Practically, it connects to the testnet. I would explain what a blockchain is in the second chunk, in the third chunk of this presentation. Also, it's connected to my web feed, and it analyzes my gesture as I move my head. And it's by analyzing my gesture, it's important because on the screen, you see that there's a virtual keyboard on the screen. It's very important it analyzes my gesture such that as I type and I move my head along the way, it doesn't interfere with the keyboard. And also, it also recognizes my hands. We use landmarks. It recognizes my gestures, and it also recognizes my left hand. So since this is a virtual system, basically for us, we wanted to simulate what a student would get when the student uses a PC. So if you were to do a quiz on a traditional system, was that you see a question and you click on the question. You right click or you left click, or whichever one you desire to select an option. So how do we incorporate that kind of system whereby the student sees a question and the student is also able to click on that question? So we use gesture controls. So if I, for instance, I am to select something on the screen, I bring in the tip of my tongue and the tip of my index finger to click. So let's say currently there's a letter L in the screen. I can clear it up by just clearing the SS space in it. So in this particular instance, I want to type my name. So I can either use my left and my right. So by the way, we disabled it from recognizing two hands at the same time, but it's a feature we intend to bring back. So in this case, I want to type Edmund. I will just move and just type. By the way, I'll clear this screen. So I'll just move to Edmund. I click. Then let me use my left. Okay, I think my camera is not picking it well. Yeah, Right, let me just move further from the camera. Yeah. So I've just typed in my name. So what is happening is that the moment I raise my hand to the screen, the AI system calculates the distance of my gesture, the distance of the key, and it translates all of that into letters. And we also look at the pixel and the distance of each key, and we're able to recognize actually what I'm clicking on the screen. So while that is done, I will just start the quiz. I think I need to move further away from the screen. Yeah. So you notice that when the quiz actually starts, there's like all of the options are disabled. The system automatically counts from the time the question shows on the screen and to the time in which the student selects. So basically, we created this concept just to understand how draw up statistics in terms of user case. What is the average speed student we use to answer this kind of questions? We can then try to create contents to address some of the lapses we found. So in this case, it says what is a proof of work? That is a mining consensus. I'll just click. So we do disable some of the features on the screen because we notice that most times when students are answering questions, they may move their hands within the screen, and the AI may inevitably mark that as a gesture. So that few, I think 5 seconds enables the AI to load the next question, recognize that it's a fresh start or a continuation from the previous questions, and it's able to basically think and see what is going on with the environment. So what is NFT rarity? It means it's something that is unique. In most cases, I'll try to maybe miss some question and try to see how the system actually would respond. In this case, the answer is actually a lock coin, but I'll just select password. So it says a coin which is privacy focused. I believe that should be Monero. I think that should be Bitcoin. What is the token ID? Is it obviously it's a unique token number? I'll just click it. So now we are in question 6. So it seems that the AI is actually not just, but what the AI is actually doing is that it's taking record of the questions you get in. Remember when the system did connect to the, when we did start the system initially, it connected to the blockchain. And all of these processes, all of the complexity of these processes is done beneath the screen or in the background. So what is a governance vote? It should be a decision process. And I would also talk about some of the upgrade for the system in which I would discuss in my slide. Now, you notice also I am able to move my head. It doesn't it doesn't override the questions on the screen. And even it doesn't count that as a gesture. So the AI is able to know per time where my face is. It's also able to know per time where my hand is when I bring it to the screen. So what is a wallet address? It should be a public key for transaction. So what is a chain reorganization? I believe it should be this. So this should be this. and what is a nonce. I believe the AI in this case, this question is a bit tricky because it's not full in terms of explanation, but out of all the answers here, it should be this. So what just happened was that the quiz or the AI has just analyzed the entire system. It also tracked the time in which I took in answering the question. Then it also puts the records on the blockchain. In this case, we are using the Sepolia network. We can use different types of blockchain, which I'll come to very soon. And I can also view the record on the blockchain. And all I just need to do is I click on the place where it says Interscan. The AI is smart enough to interact with my PC and open up my browser for me. So if I just do this, so it automatically opens up my my browser. So this is the first case of the presentation. I will then go to the slide for the Edu Quiz, and then I would explain what you've just seen and what was the motivation behind it. So basically, the whole concept of this design started from our training at UJ Blockchain. We wanted to create a system that someone coming to learn blockchain don't have to know all the intimidating concepts that may discourage them from learning. And we have two streams of this design. We have the drag and drop. That particular one, you can actually build blockchain application without actually writing any single line of code. So the problem in these cases was that we, as a Sachi chair, we are charged with spreading the gospel of blockchain, teaching people to build amazing applications and innovate. But we've come to face the realities that not everybody can code, and not everybody will be as patient to learn the entire process of coding, or in simple terms, not everybody will want to spend 7 months or 6 months to be perfect at coding. So we created this kind of immersive systems to accommodate everyone as much as possible. I'll just minimize this. Yep. So basically, this is a concept version. Remember when I started, we wanted to see what would be the reception of this kind of innovation, firstly within the UJ community. Also, we started integrating production features, which we intend to roll out hopefully next year. And the reception for this kind of design has been quite innovative. And it has been welcoming and it has been very positive. So currently as it is, this design is just a quiz whereby students can interact, gesture control, facial recognition design, a virtual keyboard, and the likes, as you've seen in the presentation. The idea for us is to move towards gamification, whereby we are able to translate every course or module the student is doing into a virtual learning process. Take, for example, I am in engineering, I'm in the engineering faculty, and let's say we are doing engineering design, for instance. So our aim for UJ Blockchain is to translate this into the student learning model. Take, for example, you are doing a course. Or if that course is gamified, you can still learn the entire concepts and still be able to basically that interest and that passion to learn. From research, it has shown that people will spend more times on game, anything that is immersive, anything that is that comes with that gamification. Student tends to pay longer time, longer focus on that. So we are taking this concept and we are integrating them into modules for learning, making learning fun and easy. So the upcoming production version, for us, we have four main aims for now. The first is to create a first-person gaming experience that is fully incorporated with the student learning modules. So let's say you are doing 5 modules this semester. The idea for us is to translate that into a immersive gaming experience. Basically, your course is translated into a game. The entire learning process is gamified so as to make learning more fun and easy to understand. Also, the second main aim for us is to make the game as realistic as possible. For instance, if you are in the PhD environment, which is engineering, or you are in social science, obviously the way the UJ classroom setup is made is quite unique. We take those uniqueness into the system. The student is also able to interact, just like I'm able to use gestures, facial recognitions, to simulate what the student will actually get in the real classroom. We can simulate it from things like decks, from things like physics engine. For example, if you shake a table in your normal classroom, how will your table react? We can translate those kind of physics engine into the gamification world so as to make learning as fun as possible and as realistic as possible. And thirdly is for a system like this, it has to be accessible by all students. So it has to be compatible with the common browsers we found on campus, from Chrome, from Edge, from Brave browsers. These browsers should be able to interact freely into the system, just like you saw that I was able to click virtually on the screen, and the AI is able to connect in real time to my browser to show the blockchain records. So for us, we also want to incorporate this kind of experience that the student will get, so that the student do not really need to spend so much money on VR sets, which are quite pricey. The student can use its current system to interact with this system. And we do not want to just stop just integrating learning or training modules. We want to expand this system beyond the classroom. Things like virtual campus store. Imagine if you are a prospective student for UJ, you want to come on campus, or you want to see how campus will look like, but you really do not want to come physically to campus. We create this kind of immersive system whereby you can take a tour of the entire campus. So the possibility is quite limitless in systems like this. What we can do with it, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in the PhD environment. It can be in the social science. We can use it for operations management. We can use it for different concepts from different classrooms across the university, different faculties. We can create a specialized gamified learning experience that students can learn, and they can also earn certificates, because that is very, very important. So they can also meet those certificates on the blockchain via an NFT, and they can share it. And all of these records of their progress are now verifiable because we are using blockchain. Other scenarios where we can use this kind of systems are we can use it in boot camps. We do a lot of boot camps, hackathons, trainings. The process is just so much in terms of the possibilities. Lastly, I would just say that for systems like this, we also want to ensure privacy. The idea of building emerging technology is that the technology also complies with privacy policies like the Copyright Act and so on and so forth. So things like encryption, which is also embedded in the production system, whereby we use things like AES-256 GCM, which is a form of encryption, just to ensure that all of these learning process are safely stored in a decentralized manner that doesn't compromise privacy. I would stop in the second chunk of the presentation to give room for questions before I move to the second chunk where I actually explain some of the amazing things we do at the center. So I just freed up my my webcam. So since the AI is now switched off, I can actually switch off my webcam here and give room for questions before I move to the third and fourth chunk.
Okay, thank you so much, Edmund, for this presentation and displaying the skill that you have created and your innovation here. I have a question from Jennifer Kuhn. She asks, is it possible to break blockchain down in layman's terms? I think this is just our general. If you could give us a nice 2-minute layman's explanation of what exactly is blockchain.
Thank you for the question. So I wanted to show the innovation first, so I can give room for the slide. So I think I do have it here. Okay, I'm going to explain this 2 minutes. I'm going to explain it this way. So let me use this example. It's an example we usually use in our training. It gives you the idea of what blockchain is. So I'm going to paint a scenario, and this scenario is this. So we have a man called Rema. He's 70 years of age. He has a large enterprise where he sells furniture. It's a booming business. He makes 2,000 sales every day. And he has like a ledger book, basically a business record book, where he puts all the sales and transactions and incomes and miscellaneous and expenditure. So this system actually looks okay, but it's problematic. I'll run quickly what the problem is with this system. This system, one, has a single point of failure. Since there's only a single business record book, it's a simple question. What happens if the record book goes missing? Or there's a fire, the ledger is missing, or let's say Mr. Redman loses all his financial data. Basically, all the business record is gone because he's the only one managing the system. And also, there's the lack of transparency. And within the South African context, for instance, if you have a ledger book for your business that contains
we have at the gym now. No,
Sorry?
She's not. She's a whole different branch altogether.
Okay, can I go on?
Yes, please. I think someone unmuted an error. Please go on.
All right. So the second thing is that in South Africa, if you have a business ledger, you can actually use that ledger to get loans from the bank. So if you go to the bank, you want to get money from the bank, they will ask, what is your cash flow? What is your income? What is your expenditure? So Mr. Rema does have incentive to forge the books, because the question becomes, if Mr. Rema is the sole custodian of this ledger, how trustworthy is Mr. Rema? So basically, if Mr. Rema wants to get loans from the bank, he can simply manipulate the records of this ledger to suit him, and no one will know. He can choose to change the records of this ledger without anyone knowing. And also, the system Mr. Rema runs is vulnerable to manipulation. Mr. Rema is 70 years old. Of course, he can make mistakes. Instead of writing a 1, he can write 5. Basically, there is no check and balances to say he has made a mistake since he is the sole custodian. So another problem with this kind of system is that it is limited in terms of accessibility. Obviously, Mr. Rema would be stressed some days. He might be sick some days. He may not want to come to work some days. So the question becomes, who does the recording on that day, the day where the sole custodian of the ledger is not available? Lastly, this kind of business is dependent on trust. Let's say Mr. Rema decides to engage 2 of his sons to manage the ledger. The question of trust also comes in, is that how trustworthy are his sons? And secondly, the concept of trust is variable. A person can be trustworthy today. It doesn't mean the person can be trustworthy forever. So this kind of system in terms of the ledger problem is one that businesses has always operated before blockchain came. So how does blockchain solve this solution? To understand how blockchain solved this solution, we have to look at the 3 different eras where how the internet actually evolved before we come to the era of the blockchain. So we look at the Web 1 era. This was the period when the internet first came out. That was in the late 90s. Basically, you could view records on the internet, but you could necessarily not edit them. So it means that records on the internet was only read-only. So this kind of era solved the problem Mr. Rema was facing, but it was still stressful because yes, his business was booming. There were lots of transactions. Because the Web 1 era was only read-only, it means that all of the transactions needed to be uploaded on the internet manually. So, and it was stressful because it was making lots of transactions. And also this era did not solve the problem of transparency. It didn't solve the problem of data manipulation. And also it didn't solve the issue of trust. And come the second era started in the early 2000s. It's referred to as Web 2.0. In this era, Mr. Rema can actually put things on the internet and he can actually edit it. Basically, people could order online for his services, but it solved the issue of stress, but it did not solve the issue of trustworthiness because the entire database was still under the control of Mr. Rema. He could change the record without anyone knowing. So take, for instance, if you go to the UJ website, UJ may have made some changes. You might not even know that UJ have made changes either to the way courses are displayed or the way Turnitin is being accessed. So this was the Web 2 era. So all this problem is what blockchain actually came to solve. So in a simple term, blockchain is a ledger. It's like a book, a record, just like the one Mr. Rema is using. But the unique feature of blockchain is one that it is decentralized. Everyone all over the internet, as far as the blockchain is public, can see the records because no one has central control over the records. Imagine it this way, whereby you have a book where you write, let's say a journal. Each time you put records on that journal, everybody all over the internet will see it. So you are not the only person that have sole custodian over the ledger. So if Mr. Rema in this case falsify the record, everybody would see that the records were falsified. Also with blockchain, which was in the Web3 era, the record was immutable, which means that once you put in something into the blockchain, you can't edit it. The best you can do is put in a fresh record, but that record you've placed on the blockchain stays there for life. It can't be edited. So it means that if Mr. Rema says that he sold 5,000 shares today, Mr. Rema cannot go back to change that 5,000 shares to say 1,000 shares. The best he can do is to upload a fresh record. And each time he uploads a fresh record, everybody sees it. So it brings in that level of transparency. It brings in that level of trust. With blockchain, I really do not need to trust you as a person. I just need to trust the system, because the system is designed in such a way that makes it impossible. So in the next 4 minutes, I will wrap up what blockchain is. So if you look at the definition on the screen, I highlighted certain keywords. Blockchain is decentralized. It means that nobody has single control over the ledger, and it is distributed. Anybody can have access to the ledger. Remember, I said a ledger is just a system for record keeping. So this record keeping, or this record, is accessible to everyone on the blockchain network because it's distributed. Everyone can get a copy of this ledger system. They can view it, they can scrutinize it, and they can make analysis on this ledger. And it is decentralized. No single person has control over the system. And also, it enables people to connect to it using nodes, whereby you can connect to the blockchain, you can make transaction. Like in the example I showed you, where the AI is able to put those records on the blockchain, the AI is also able to connect directly to the browser for the system. All of this is made possible because of the decentralized and the distributed nature of blockchain. So basically, blockchain in simple terms is just a ledger. But what makes it unique is that it is decentralized and it is distributed. Decentralized means no single authority has control over the system, and distributed is it can be accessed by any person or on the internet. There are other features of blockchain that makes it tamper-proof and built on that principle of trust. It's immutable, just like I said. Once the record goes into the blockchain, it makes it practically impossible to edit that record. And it does that through a cryptographic technique, like things like hashing and digital signature. So basically, the takeaway from the question is that, one, blockchain is decentralized and it's also distributed. It's a ledger system that is decentralized and distributed. So if we go back to all the problems that Mr. Rema was facing from the case study with things like point of failure, the record is accessible by everybody. So not only Mr. Rema has it, also the problem of lack of transparency, everybody can now see the ledger. It's not just Mr. Rema that has access to the ledger. It makes manipulation practically impossible because each time you put a record, that record is open for scrutiny, especially if the record is a public blockchain. It's accessible by everybody. Someone from Germany, from Morocco, from Ghana can log onto the blockchain, view a transaction, view the time the transaction came on the blockchain and analyze it. And also the blockchain, because it's immutable, records can be changed, that trust is baked into the system. I believe I answered the question just within the short possible time. And I would be glad to provide the slide maybe after this presentation, if that helps. I just want to ask if there's any question before I go to the last chunk.
We don't see any hands or any text on the chat, so please feel free to go ahead.
Okay. For the last chunk, I would simply explain UJ blockchain. What is UJ blockchain? What are some of the amazing innovations we do, and some of our partners within the UJ ecosystem are also partners outside the UJ ecosystem. So we are South Africa, Switzerland bilateral share in blockchain technology. Basically, it's a bilateral share. On the South African side is the university. On the Switzerland side is the Lausanne University of Applied Science. We focus more on the agricultural supply chain, while the Lausanne University of Applied Science focus on the pharmaceutical side, integration of blockchain. We won the chair in December 2022, and we've commenced operations since June 2023. These are some members of our dev team, including the principal investigator, which is Professor Nnamdi Nulu. He leads all the innovation within the chair. So we do different chunks of training. All of the trainings are free. And we also have an open source repository where we publish codes regularly. Basically, we build innovations and also we code and we put it on GitHub using the MIT license, which means anybody anywhere can copy the code and use for free, which is quite amazing. We do boot camps, we do masterclass. It depends on what you actually want. So within the beginning of the year, we usually start up with boot camps. And for some of the boot camps we partner with CSS Arrow, where we go for site visits. And also we do masterclass. So what is the difference between a boot camp and a masterclass? Within a boot camp, we try to cater for two sets of people, those who can code and those who are not too versatile in coding. The masterclass, we go hands-on in terms of coding from different coding environments. And we also have facilitators. The idea for us was to take students within the university community that know nothing about blockchain, and over the course of 2 to 3 years, we train them to be proficient in blockchain. Some of them already have startups, some go for hackathons based on the knowledge based on the knowledge they have gotten from us. And this was a project demoed in the UK on the Solana hackathon by the UJ blockchain team on Tender blocks. And also we're also launching Tender blocks using a partner outside the university next year also. Lastly, we have diverse skill sets, and each of our skill sets keep increasing by the day, because we started first with blockchain. This day we do more blockchain, AI, robotics, and we try to merge all of these words together. So obviously the skill set we need keep increasing by the day. And also, if you are looking for source codes that you want to use for your project, you can go to github.com/UJ blockchain. We have lots of projects you can use on how blockchains can be incorporated. And these are just some of our projects. I think this project was launched last year, which is Transfer, more like WeTransfer, but the idea is that you can send as high as up to 50 gig in terms of file. We have amazing features such as file zone, file freezing. So this is something we created at the center. We also have a document verification system. We use AES 256. You could check out. I'm also going to provide this slide so that you can have the opportunity to go through all of these innovations. Tattoo AI, we launched this in 2024. The idea was to enable fluent conversation in all South African languages. Tattoo AI is also integrated with some of our software and hardware systems, such as Certify, AdroPredict, and Tattoo AI is also integrated with every drones we build at the center. Contract AI, we use deep learning to analyze vulnerability in smart contracts. AdroPredict, which is for water, to check what the condition of water, if it is clean, if it is safe for use, with real-time alerts and monitoring. And also we build drones in the center. So we launched a drone last year, and we launched another one this year. We launched two this year. The first one, we built it from scratch. The second one this year, we were able to program the drone from scratch and integrate things like gesture control, motion sensors, and the likes. This is an amazing event, an amazing project we are currently working on, which is Event Block. The idea is now that each time we go for events, we usually create tags, registration tags. We are trying to automate the process whereby we connect a system that is programmable. You just scan it with a phone. And once you scan it with a phone, the system enables you to register on the spot. So you don't actually need a tag for this system. And it's an amazing system, by the way, from our initial tests. Tender block, which I've explained, and food trolley. If you are in the UJ system, you must have seen food trolley. We launched it in 2024. This project is featured on UJ website. We were able, in the pilot test, we were able to accommodate over 17,000 students, whereby they could actually get meal parcels for free. I will equally share the link on the chat after this presentation. Lastly, there's other innovations we are working on whereby we use artificial intelligence and satellite imagery to analyze agricultural land to see if they are good. I'm just trying to rush to beat time. Lastly, we've had a lot of cooperations with industry partners, and this is for a software company in South Africa, where we offer technical support. This is for a Limpopo emerging agro-processor. This is in Limpopo, whereby we are also using blockchain to ensure consumable agricultural produce are safe in terms of the records, when they expire, the products that were used in the agricultural product, and so on and so forth. Lastly, we keep expanding our code base in terms of some of the innovations we build, and each year we do have a demo day. We had a demo day, I think, a month or 2 months ago, where we demoed some amazing innovations. You can check it out on our LinkedIn page or on our website. And lastly, that brings me to the end of this presentation. I would be glad to take questions from everyone.
Thank you so much, Edmund, for that presentation. There's one chat in the chat. I think this is Daily excuse me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but he asked, what if someone makes a mistake, makes an honest mistake? Will they be penalized for that? He will have to change the record. Is there a way for you guys to solve this? So basically, you spoke about the entry, and then how if you make an error, you have to create another entry. And basically, our friend there is asking, how do we fix this problem? Is there a way to retract this entry? I imagine it would be incomplete because there was an error along the way when you were capturing this. Secondly, my question is it possible to adapt the Edu Quiz for data collection? I think a bunch of us would be more, interested in learning how to do it.
Okay, sorry for interrupting. Can I proceed if you are finished? Okay. The questions are they are very unique questions, but for the first question, for me to answer this question, I will look at it from two angles. So on the blockchain, there's different consensus algorithm. A consensus algorithm is how people agree to put records on the blockchain. So I will look at your question from the standpoint of proof of stake. So in proof of stake, if you are a validator, you stake some cryptocurrency. And if you violate the rules, you lose that stake. What that means is that, let's say there's a club, a football club, and we say, to join this football club, you put in 5,000 Rand. In this case, this Rand will be a cryptocurrency. And I will say, okay, if you mess up, if you break the rules of this football club, we'll kick you out. And at the same time, you lose your 5,000 Rand. So when you refer to penalties, this is an example of where it kicks in. For example, proof of stake. So if you are a validator, for instance, and you go against the principle of the blockchain where you are a validator in, you lose the stake in which you paid in that blockchain. The other aspect of your question is, is there a way to do like a recall? Unfortunately, there is no recall. If you place a record and that record is faulty, just like you said, or incomplete, just like you said, you do another record and you place the correct record. That record that is faulty, that record that is incomplete stays on the system. The reason this is, which I support this kind of system because what is the definition of a mistake? If we look at it, what is the criteria of what makes something a mistake? And what is the validity that what makes something a mistake is truly a mistake? So by the time we open the floodgates whereby people can recall, I can do something scrupulous and I can say, oh, it's a mistake. I can change figures on the blockchain and say it's a mistake. So, and this brings to the core of the transparency of blockchain, whereby it says that records are immutable. So I hope I've answered the first aspect of the question. To the second aspect, absolutely yes. For us at the UJ blockchain, we are currently looking at ways to expand this AI system whereby you can use it for data collection, you can use it for different use cases. And for us at the center, we are going more into robotics, whereby we are able now to incorporate more of all these hardwares, more of all these softwares, all these AI systems into hardwares that even makes it, that increases the use cases. So yes, this system can easily be incorporated to phones. It can be incorporated to different scenarios. It can also be incorporated to even analyze your data, the ones you get from the feed. So there are diverse scenarios where we are looking at implementing systems like this. Hope I answered the two questions. Before I ask the next person for his or her question, I just want to confirm that I did answer the question before we move on.
You absolutely did. Thank you so much. You absolutely did answer it. I think a lot of our research in social sciences takes place with relatively young people. So I imagine if one were to introduce this as a method of data, as a technique of data collection, I know at least 20 young people that would be so excited to not have to circle a pen and paper or use the typical just typing of D or B, but to, it seems so futuristic. I personally love it. If I had a cohort of young people and there was a survey that I need to administer, I definitely will opt for this kind of technology to do that. It's cutting edge, it's fun. It seems like something that young people would really love to fiddle with while we also gathering data. I think Hilton
just before, let me just add this. Remember that during the demonstration, I did things like gestures. So just to buttress on your point, yes, this system can, let's say you're in the feed. And you know those times when you're in the feed, you'd be like, oh, I need to do an audio recording of this person. I never knew I could, but what if we just do a gesture? Just with your right hand, with your left hand, the system gets it, triggers the audio recorder immediately, it records. Also, what if the system can correct you? Let's say you should be picking limestone and you're picking gravel. When you're in the field, the system should be like, yo, you are making mistakes. Those are the kind of systems we are trying to build.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Please go ahead, Hilton.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me, Cindy?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So my question is also around the Edu Quiz. I'm not sure I fully understand the whole blockchain thing, but anyway, it's very interesting to hear about it. But with that Edu Quiz, I just wanted to know, what have you done, what user research has been done to see how well it is accepted by users? So for instance, we've seen a lot of problems with digital interventions is that there's like sort of, like haptic feedback is a really important issue for people. So people like to hear, like people like a sort of recognition that they've typed something or that they've entered something or that they've submitted something. So, what user research are you building into the work that you're doing? And then also the other question I have is the scalability. So this is fine if we're doing it in a university environment where there's access to data and there's easy connections and internet connections that we can do these things. But if you're talking about scalability into taking these sorts of edu quizzes into, if its option is to take this into communities where technology is less prevalent or less used, how do you envision that being done? So like, how do we use this in rural areas where data access is more of an issue? And then my final question was around how does blockchain, and this may be an ignorant question, but how does it align with guidelines and laws around privacy in terms of like POPIA? So how do we, if someone's committing code or someone's committing something to the blockchain and then that's identifiable, and you can't remove it because the whole system is built on this transparency thing, or what are the issues with that, or how do you make sure that that doesn't become a problem for you?
Okay. Okay. Thank you. First of all, thank you for the 3 questions. I'll start off with the first one. We have used, sorry, please correct me if within answering a question, if I stray a little bit outside the question, just let me know so that I'll just come back. Okay, where have we used the system? So far, we have used this system in 3 places. The first one is one of our facilitators, Miriam, used this system for a programmable security drone. The project was one of the best projects for final year best projects for in electrical. They just concluded final year best projects. So we have also used it in a drag and drop interface whereby we teach people how to code. But for this second integration, we did not add things like gestures. The AI just sits in behind the scene and does all the analysis. Also, we've used this system for things like motion sensor, capturing, surveillance, all within the security ecosystem. And also we are able to trigger and control drones using gesture control, like we can tell the drone to start recording by giving it a gesture control. We can tell the drone to take off, to land. We can also do a follow me, whereby we create a gesture to the drone and the drone moves along with us. You can check out our YouTube page for, I think it should be some of the recent projects we launched last month or last 2 months. You'll see a project whereby we integrated this kind of gesture control simulation. Lastly, also we used it in a project whereby we are able to scan the environment. So take, for example, let's say in a building construction, you want to see if the building is environmentally safe, if it's not going to collapse. We load the system onto a programmable drone. The drone just flies. It does a 360 rotation, and this AI analyzes the entire room. It checks for things like cracks and dampness, if the building is in line with South African building standards. So all of these projects I've just mentioned, you can find them all on our YouTube platform, UJ Blockchain. Just go on YouTube and search for UJ Blockchain and look for our recent uploaded videos. You'll see all of these use cases. Secondly, I think your second question was in places where there are no internet, how does a system like this work? And it's something we have actually started working on, whereby we are looking at two scenarios whereby you can either you can communicate with the system using a USSD, or you can, in case you don't even have a smartphone, there are ways you can also communicate with the system remotely. Just send an SMS to the system. In cases where you do have a smartphone and the connection, it's a bit too wonderful, we also are designing the system so that there's, in terms of internet usage, in terms of the footprint of the mobile data it uses, we are trying to minimize that as much as possible. And in cases whereby the internet is a complete blackout, we are designing the system also to work offline, whereby most of the analysis, obviously for us to achieve this, we have to train models that can work offline. And for example, for the contract AI that detects vulnerability, we trained an AI for it, that's an AI model for it that can actually work offline. Just to point out, you can go to our YouTube page. There was a particular project that was integrated with Telegram, whereby the AI can detect things like pests and diseases on crops. It can also work offline. If you are using the model in itself, you can integrate it to offline infrastructure, and it also works. So I would say we are not there yet in terms of full and 100% offline capability. But looking at the works we do at the center, I would say gradually we are getting there each day, and hopefully maybe the next time you ask me, hopefully I'll be able to say, oh, we've done it, we are 100% offline, the system can work. So for us at UJ Blockchain, I believe that is the main goal, so that someone in Limpopo, in KwaZulu-Natal, can still use this system. I can still have this trail, this experience of technology without the consign of internet. I think you asked one last question, if it's something about if it has been used outside of UJ, if I'm not mistaken.
No. So the last part of my question was that we have the laws like POPIA.
Oh yeah, I remember. I remember now. I remember now. Okay.
You're dealing with
So as a center underneath the university, or even if you are within the South Africa ecosystem, the COPIA Act applies to everybody. And this is some of the things we put in place when we design. First of all, if we're putting anything in there for testing, the record has to be encrypted. Mostly we use AS256 encryption standard encryption system to ensure that the records are encrypted. And on the question of blockchain, blockchain is anonymous or pseudo-anonymous, whereby if you connect to the blockchain and you put in a record, people only know maybe the node that is connected, the location of the node that is connected, but it doesn't say Edmund was the one who connected it, or Edmund was the one who placed the record on the blockchain. So by default, in a way, the blockchain already comes in with that form of privacy in itself. So, but for we building innovations, we also ensure that privacy is baked in, not just the COPIA Act. There are many policies you just have to follow, things like the GDPR policy, which also give users control over their data. So you must have noticed it for an application like Food Trolley that we launched, whereby over 17,000 students were using it. So to circle back to your question, blockchain in itself comes with that privacy. Nobody, if you check the record I just showed you on the blockchain, at nowhere does it say, at nowhere does it say Edmund placed this. It does show the wallet I used to connect, but you would not know that this wallet belongs to me, except I share it and I tell you that this is my wallet. So, and also we building in the center, we ensure that these privacy policies, South African laws are followed to the T. And you will see that in most of, maybe all of our GitHub repository that we deploy on GitHub, you will notice that we follow that standard of security. I hope I did try to explain, answer the question. If I missed something, you can just let me know. Hello, are you there? Oh,
I'm here. I was just waiting for sorry, I was waiting for Hilton to confirm if this question.
No, it just went. I just lost for like 1 second, so I was unmuting. But yes, thank you very much. That was very helpful. Thank you very. Thanks for clarifying that.
Oh, you're welcome.
As we all know, we've come to the end of our webinar, of our lunch. Please feel free to go and comment on the YouTube account. If you need any further information, feel free to go into our YouTube account and comment there. But for now, we will have to bid you farewell. And thank you so much, Edmund, for your time and your skill set, and keep working hard and sharing